hits.
That's the thing. Sometimes, yes, it is about patience, or are they going to go out all-out offensive? Swiss round 3 is kicking off with Sneasler and Primarina versus down against the Magmar and the Dragonite.
Yeah, Sneasler and Primarina, I think, is something that Michael definitely likes to do with this team. It gives you a lot of options. You can go and attack with the Sneasler right away. You can also play it a little bit more safe, maybe go for some protects. And then on the other side, Eduardo, it is that Dragonite set that we haven't seen so much outside of Japan, where this set is running around everywhere. It is that loaded dice and scale shot set. Of course, a move that especially against Sneasler can be super strong, because you can knock out Sneasler in, well, not 1, but in 5 hits, as long as you get those, and then you would get the KO even through the focus sash. So that is definitely something that Michael has to worry about. And usually this is also running the multi-scale on the Dragonite, so Fake Out not as effective. Can still break the multi-scale. Fake Out very effective against that, so that is something that Eduardo has to play around probably.
Well, adjustments on both sides here. The Sneasler getting out of the way, doesn't want to have its focus sash broken so early on in this set. But the Sneasler's actually going to come in for Eduardo here, so kind of a little bit of mirror action as Dragonite plays very defensively. Good protecting here when facing down against a Fairy type like this Primarina that was going for the Hyper Voice, trying to get some coverage across both. And this will be breaking the focus sash on that Sneasler that switched in. So a little bit of a risk here for Eduardo, but now Sneasler can get us to some tricks.
Yeah, nice repositioning there by Edu, realizing that, yeah, the Fake Out was just too threatening on that Dragonite. And then at the same time, Michael also realizing that Primarina was probably pretty safe to go for a Hyper Voice there. Magmar didn't want to take it, so Edu actually bringing the Sneasler in the back. But now that it is on the field, of course, it could go ahead, could go for a Fake Out, it could go for a coaching. Another one of those cool moves that we're seeing so often now in this format. And coaching together paired with that scale shot, of course, is something that really lets that Dragonite boost the speed and the attack at the same time. So it's almost as if you were using Dragon Dance, but instead you're attacking at the same time. So yeah, that's something really powerful that Michael has to deal with.
Yes, really like to see the synergy amongst those two Pokemon. And once again, Michael adjusting his ball position, bringing the Magmar in on his side of the field. So they're almost kind of mirroring each other, but switching them out and adjusting their positions as we're going to see the first terrestrialization come through. This could be a defensive option here, but it's going to be down onto this Dragonite, turning into the Terra Fairy. So not something we see every day as well, just reducing a lot of the weaknesses to Fairy types, for example, that Dragonite had previously.
And also, of course, gaining resistances to that Dark type attacks that the Kingambit packs on Michael's side, who also is going for that Terra Stylization. It is the Terra Ghost, of course, to avoid some of those close combats coming in from the Sneasler.
Yes, really good defensive Terra Stylizations all around, I would say, here for both of our trainers as they're setting up for this game one. Coaching does come through, however, so this is going to be able to connect down onto that Dragonite and give it a few cheeky boosts. There goes the attack boost and the defense boost as well. Now Dragonite has the option to go for the Stomping Tantrum. Love to see this come through, connecting to the Magmar, but it doesn't get the knockout.
Yeah, great move there. Stomping Tantrum, probably the move that does the most damage to Primarina as well, but hitting the Magmar on the switch, and definitely something that Edu likes to see, and then taking that Kowtow Cleave like a champ on the Dragonite with the resistance now due to the Terrestrialization, and also with the multi-scale still active, as well as that +1 defense boost. So yeah, that Dragonite is really looking like maybe it could run away with the game if Michael is not careful. Michael has Haze on the Primarina, so that would be one way of getting rid of all the boosts. But yeah, Edu could just go ahead and go for another coaching. It's not a move that you can redirect with Follow Me or anything like that. So if Edu decides to do it, that Dragonite could boost even more, and then also could potentially go for a scale shot to get even more speedy.
And that could also help to deal with the Primarina a little bit later on, but no coaching this time, just a Dire Claw coming through. We're going to see if any secondary effects come through, and it forces this Kingambit to take a little bit of a nap, going to be snoozing on the action as Dragonite goes for another Stomping Tantrum. There was the defensive protect here from Michael, but once again, I think as long as you play around this Primarina, you don't have to worry about the Haze at this point. Dragonite and the Sneasler are carrying this match well.
Yeah, big sleep roll there on the Kingambit. Of course, now with the Terra Ghost, Eduardo actually doesn't have a great way of hitting the Kingambit right now. Yeah, decides that it is the time to go for Dire Claw, even if that was just a poison that would like tick it down just a little bit. And that with that sleep, there wasn't really too much the Kingambit could have done, but now Michael has to hope that Kingambit wakes up sooner rather than later.
Is able to get the second protect there on that Magmar, enabling an opportunity for Eduardo to go for another coaching here. This is going to be able to give Dragonite even more attack and defensive support, as it was going for the scale shot. This will once again go down into a protect. Michael playing very defensively, burning through these sleep turns and hoping Kingambit's going to wake up, and it does.
nice. So Kowtow Cleave won't be super effective here, and Sneasler can barely take it and is around for yet another coaching potentially in the next turn. And Edu was fine with that trade, I would think, because yeah, just getting up another coaching against two Pokemon that aren't really threatening the Dragonite too much. Of course, Magmar could go for a Will-O-Wisp, but it's already at such low HP that any other hit coming out from the Dragonite would probably knock it out. And then it's really about, can the Dragonite take on that Primarina that is waiting in the back for Michael?
I think having the +2 attack boost as well will give it some good potential to get some damage on the board. Sneasler, however, out of action. That Sucker Punch will be able to get the knockout. So Eduardo, I think, doesn't mind this too much. It gives the opportunity to bring in a Pokemon from the back. Maybe something like that Magmar to be able to have that redirection. But also, as Michael will be losing his own Magmar here in this turn, it gives the opportunity to bring that Primarina back in and try and click that haste button as quick as you can.
Yeah, huge play there by Michael, actually. I think the most obvious move, one could argue, would have been for Edu to go for another coaching on the Dragonite. And then, of course, Sucker Punch would not have worked. But I think Edu was trying to get another Direct Claw into that King Gambit, roll the dice once more. But yeah, Michael sniffed that and went for that Sucker Punch. Nice play, definitely with some risk. But I think that is what Michael needs to take now. Take some risks to get back into this game. Because against this Dragonite, yeah, it's really just tough to hit it. But one thing that I see is could be beneficial for Michael is the fact that now that Dragonite has terrestrialized into Fairy, the Sneasler that is still waiting in the back for Michael could hit the Dragonite for super effective damage with Direct Claw. So I think the route for Michael would probably be something like get the Haze at some point and then try to get rid of that Dragonite with the Sneasler, but you still also have to get through the Magmar. So yeah, definitely tough to maneuver here for Michael at this point.
You have to slow down the momentum that Eduardo has gained at this point, and yes, you could go for something like the Haze, but that also means Primarina isn't dealing any damage that particular turn either. And of course, a Pokemon like the Dragonite can still deal some offensive pressure. It's still a pretty good attacking Pokemon. It's going to go straight for the Extreme Speed. That does over 50%, so much damage, but will activate the Berry on Primarina, so it has a little trick in its back pocket. Going to be able to get a lot of HP remaining back here, as Magmar does this time go for the Will-O-Wisp. This is going to connect onto this Kingambit that cannot catch a break from these status afflictions.
Yeah, well, it just woke up, now it's burned. Well, and with that reduced attack, definitely won't do as much damage, but there is finally that Haze coming out, reducing all of the stat changes that Edu has worked so hard for. But this Kowtow Cleave, yeah, once again, so little damage now. King Gambit will take the burn damage every other turn, or every turn, so it'll take yeah, a couple of turns maybe for Eduardo to get through that King Gambit, but at the same time, King Gambit not really the most offensive threat at this point.
That's the thing. I think if you're Eduardo, you can completely ignore that King Gambit for now. It's been completely neutralized. You don't have to worry about the offensive pressure from these Kowtow Cleaves. You can really focus down on that partner Pokemon like the Primarina. Dragonite is going to go for the Stomping Tantrum. You said this was the good coverage move into Primarina, but without the boost, it's not going to deal nearly enough. And Heat Wave, kind of negligible damage into that Water type that can retaliate with a Hyper Voice, puts them both into the orange danger zone.
Yeah, big damage coming out here, and once again the Kowtow Cleave not into the Magmar, but once again into that Dragonite. So Michael probably has a very clear idea of how he wants to get rid of that Dragonite in this game, and yeah, he needs to get that chip on, is what he feels like. Now, Extreme Speed plus another Heat Wave should probably knock out the Primarina, but not the King Gambit. So maybe if Michael tries to protect the Primarina this turn, get in some more chip damage with that King Gambit, then he needs to create a position where he can potentially knock out the Magmar once again to then deal with that Dragonite with his own Sneasler. But Eduardo still has one more Pokemon in the bag as well.
Yes, exactly. He's keeping it safe and secret for now. Maybe it needs to find a way to be able to deal with something like that Sneasler. I mean, we've had a sneak peek. We know it is going to be that Alola Ninetales, so that's something that doesn't necessarily want to face down against the Sneasler, particularly as it has its Focus Sash still intact. So Eduardo needs to find a way to break that to enable out this path to victory. Once again, going down into a Protect. Michael playing very well with these Protects, calling them very accurately as the Heat Wave will come through. Now, is it going to be able to connect onto this opposing Sneasler and break that Focus Sash? Ooh. No, it is nimble. It dodged out of the way. This is what Michael needs to find a footing back in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely helps. I mean, now we have Fake Out Pressure on Michael's side with that Sneasler. Edu could just go for a double Protect this turn. I think that seems relatively safe. But yeah, then what happens after that? I mean, Follow Me and potentially Scale Shot seems like a good choice to get rid of that Sneasler, but with all of the damage that King Gambit was able to do on the Dragonite, Kowtow after Kowtow Cleave, now I think it might be in range of a Hyper Voice. So the play that I was talking about, this Follow Me and Scale Shot into the Sneasler in the following turn after Double Protect this turn, could run into something like switching out the Sneasler into Kingambit and just going for a Hyper Voice. So there's a very, very real opening for Michael if he can call this next move. Now, Double Protect, yeah, very safe play here on Eduardo's side, but I think both players know that this next turn is the key turn of the battle.
Yeah, nothing surprising here when you know there's the fake out and you have the utility to go for a Protect and not be punished for it, then it's a really wise option to go for, and Eduardo has played that really well. We saw the Hyper Voice coming through from the Primarina there, and Dragonite, like you've mentioned, in a very precarious situation here, doesn't want to take that Hyper Voice and get knocked out, because then Eduardo's in a position where he's forced to bring that Ninetales in from the back. Yeah, so I guess the obvious move would be to follow me with a Magmar and scale shot into that Sneasler, but yeah, if you were to be hit with that Hyper Voice, then that could be game ending almost. So yeah, how can you play around that? Maybe you need to attack the Primarina actually, but then the Sneasler could just go ahead and go for a Dire Claw, getting rid of that Dragonite. So yeah, it's really dicey what to go for, and yeah, let's see what these players are locking in. Looks like also Edu is not sure what to do, but there decides last second, and it is the Primarina switching out. So I think that this was a great call by Edu. Yes, and Michelle adjusting here, saying the Primarina's the target. I'm going to put in the Pokemon that isn't going to put in a lot of work. My burnt Kingambit from the back. As the Follow Me comes through, perfectly predicted here by the Magmar. The Dire Claw's not even going to be able to get the knockout here because of the natural bulk, because the Scale Shot will connect. We've got one. There's another one. Over halfway. Might be enough even with just the 4. There is the third and the fourth. There's the 4 and the knockout. Is enough for the knockout, exactly. So yeah, nice play there by Edu, using that Follow Me to protect the Dragonite just for this one crucial turn, and now with a burned Kingambit and that Primarina that has already taken so much damage, it looks like Edu has found a way to put himself in a great spot to winning this first game. Yes, and I think really playing around this Dragonite so well, enabling it to have that success with the coaching boost, but then also the Fairy Terrestrialization to make sure that the Kingambit really wasn't a threat in this match, has really enabled Eduardo this victory here in this game 1. I mean, let's take a closer look here. Primarina in a very precarious situation. I think obviously if it goes for a Hyper Voice, it'll be able to get the knockouts, but the speed advantage is with Eduardo, particularly with that support. Yeah, I'm thinking about if there is a way for Michael to play through this. I think, yeah, that is a good start for him, protecting the Primarina from a potential attack from that Dragonite. But then, yeah, once again, the Kingambit just doesn't do so much damage being burned and against that Terra Fairy Dragonite. And with the Alolan Ninetales in the back as well, it's not going to worry about the Dark type attacks coming through. Dragonite able to hang on. Unfortunately for Kingambit, it is chipping away with these Cowtown Cleaves, but it's not able to get the knockout here. But the Alolan Ninetales as well has access to Freeze Dry. That's something the Primarina isn't going to appreciate at all either. So Eduardo setting up a real good path to victory here. If you're Michael here, I guess you're trying to already start thinking about game 2, maybe how you might adjust accordingly? Yeah, probably yes. I mean, you still want to see what is the 4th Pokemon that Edu has brought, because once again, I think that Edu has experience in this matchup, so he probably had something prepared, the 4 Pokemon that he wanted to bring in this particular matchup. Michael here trying to go for the Double Protect, but failing, and now with his extreme speed, that should be the end of that Primarina, as yeah, maybe Kingambit can get in one more hit and potentially get a knockout finally on Edu's team. But yeah, even then, I guess we would just see the Sneasler come out. But nope, with that Heat Wave, it's enough to put that Kingambit into burn range. And yeah, that means Edu winning that game 1. I wouldn't say convincingly, but he definitely felt like he was in control throughout the entirety of the battle. Yes, and I really like the way he played around with the Dire Claw as well on that Sneasler. You know, was able to get that lucky break, putting the Kingambit to sleep, but then also kind of figuring out Kingambit isn't really a threat right now. Let me fully weaken it so I can focus down on that other slot with the Will-O-Wisp. I think was when it came back, it got Scale Shot. It didn't really get a moment to shine, but it's in the leads again for Michael, paired up with that Primarina, so maybe it will have an option facing down against the Sneasler on the opponent's team. And the Golden Go, that's an interesting adjustment from Eduardo. Yeah, Golden Go, not really a Pokemon we've talked about too much on Edu's side, because a little bit overshined there by that Alolan Ninetales and that Samurott. But yeah, Golden Go, another one of those Pokemon that just throughout the different regulations we've seen so far, definitely always a top threat. And Sneasler and Golden Go, Fake Out Nasty Plot is just so good. You have 2 of the strongest Pokemon in the format, and you can use them to really patch up some of their weaknesses. Michael on the other side going with the same Pokemon that he has chosen in the first game, and I think actually is not a bad choice either. He has Haze active right away in case he wants to predict a potential Nasty Plot play, but also, of course, he could just go on the offensive with Fake Out and an attack on his own. Looks like that was a fake out coming through as well from the opposing Sneasler, but it was hit by the speedier one on Michael's side there by the looks of things, so unable to move this turn. But Golden Go is going to go for that nasty plot nonetheless. Doesn't have to fear anything from Primarina, so it is now set up and ready to go.
Yeah, big Hyper Voice coming in, dealing quite a significant amount of chip damage to the Golden Go, which is holding that Metal Coat, so no recovery possible for that Golden Go. And instead, Edu will have to try and deal all the damage with what he has. But now with that +2, I think, yeah, potentially that Primarina might already be in range of a double up with Make It Rain, of course. The question, though, is do you really want to play into like Sneasler speed ties? That's not something you enjoy doing. Of course, Sneasler doesn't hit another Sneasler very hard, but it hits it. Hits the Primarina here super effectively, though, before any of Michael's Pokemon move.
Yeah, and Eduardo Sneasler moving first that time as well, so you're right, those speed tie mind games, not something these trainers want to play. It's completely outside of their control. But of course, Diaclaw doing so much damage, activating that Citrus Berry once again as the close combat comes through and finishes off the Sneasler on Eduardo's side. But this means that Golden Go is left alone. It is in prime position to utilize that nasty plot boost and make it rain, get some good damage on the field, and possibly even get 2 KOs here.
Yeah, and a very bulky Primarina over on Michael's side. Taking that Diaclaw, that is not something that all Primarina can do. Golden Go actually going for another nasty plot, but with this Hyper Voice, yeah, the Golden Go now down to like a third of its health. Why do you like it?
Well, I like it from both players here. I like the fact that you kind of see both these trainers can't do anything to me. I'm a Golden Go, you can't hit me with poison or fighting type moves. So you're going to be able to activate another nasty plot. You know you can take another one of these Hyper Voices. But at the same time, Michelle being like, the Golden Go is going to start doubling down these nasty plots. I need to weaken it. The Hyper Voice comes through. So now if you're Eduardo, you need to make sure you're not going to lose all this kind of setup that you've got. You need to now go on the offensive.
Yeah, and you know, because of the open team sheet, you know that the moves over on Sneasler's side on Michael can deal no damage to that Golden Go whatsoever. So Edu taking the opportunity to just go for Protect with the Magmar and for a very, very safe Make It Rain. But Michael also anticipates this, protects the Sneasler, so only Primarina goes down this turn.
But I like this ball position as well. Yes, you drop your special attack, but you're still at +2 because you had that first initial nasty plot boost. Magmar's now in a position where it can provide you the redirection support if you want to get another nasty plot boost up later to kind of, you know, balance out the effects that Make It Rain does.
Yeah, very powerful Golden Go still, and yeah, together with that Magmar, might actually set up this very nasty duo here where the Follow Me has to be dealt with first before you can go through that Golden Go. Rillaboom coming in over on Michael's side. It's not a Pokemon that can do a ton of damage to Magmar. Of course, we have the high horsepower, so that could be one way. Go for a close combat and high horsepower this turn. Maybe even you could think about terrestrializing that Rillaboom over on Michael's side to take some of those Make It Rains a little bit better. But likewise, Edu also has terrestrialization available, and with the Terra Ghost Follow Me, that would make it even harder for Michael to hit that Magmar.
And you mentioned earlier Golden Go has no option for recovery, but with the grassy terrain on the field as well, it has access to Protect. It can maybe get a little bit of HP back and then not have to worry about some damage that might come out from a grassy glide, for example. We are going to see the defensive terrestrialization. I think this is really wise from Michelle. The Rillaboom doesn't want to have to take the Golden Go's Make It Rain, so it goes into that nice fire typing to be able to resist those attacks.
Yeah, so now a little damage calculation game for those at home. How much does +3 Make It Rain do against that Rillaboom? It's going to be... It'll still definitely do quite a bit of damage, but Edu thinks that this is the time to go for terrestrialization on his own. Very safe, I guess, on the Magmar. Terra Ghost, so no close combat. Now let's see what Michael locked in.
Let's have a look. Instead it's the Diaclaw, so it will at least be able to connect. Not very effective, of course. And the secondary effect of Paralysis comes through. That's not one we've seen yet for the bingo card at all. Golden Go, however, can make it rain. It has that support. It takes the Sneasler right down to its focus sash, but that defensive Terra type absolutely perfect for Michelle. The Rillaboom is going to be able to hang around.
Yeah, now which move does Rillaboom go for? It is that high horsepower, not going all in with that read and maybe go for a Wood Hammer. It would be really risky, but also means that now Rillaboom doesn't take any more recoil damage, so it could take another one of those Make It Rains, maybe even a Shadow Ball at this point, but it might be close. I mean, it was Metal Coat boosted +3 Make It Rain that we just saw, but yeah, with that Paralysis, of course, introducing another element that could turn the battle more into Michael's favor if there is a fully Paralysis on the Follow Me turn.
And we also haven't seen the fourth and final Pokemon in the back, but Magmar are going to be unable to move in this turn. The paralysis coming through, dishing a little bit of revenge for the Dire Claws that Eduardo was dealing out in game 1. Of course, damage going on the board, but no extra secondary effect here. The Shadow Ball you mentioned earlier, Marcus, is it enough? It is. It does get the knockout here, so I think that's a really nice play by Eduardo, switching from the Steel-type offensive move to that Ghost typing as well.
Yeah, and you don't even need the Follow Me against that Sneasler, just because, yeah, once again, Gholdengo is immune to both same type attack boosted moves that the Sneasler could go for. So, yeah, Edu actually doesn't mind that Magmar taking a turn there to just, like, recollect itself a little bit. Yeah, that Shadow Ball, that was big. Getting the knockout here on the Rillaboom. But now this is a turn where Magmar should get the Follow Me, because now there's a Kingambit on the other side.
That's the thing, like, you kind of ask yourself what Sneasler going to do in this match, and not a lot with these two Ghost types on the field. But when there are Ghost types, the Pokemon you want is a Dark type, and that's exactly what Kingambit is, and it's rocking a lot of Dark type moves. So both of the Pokemon on Eduardo's side are threatened here. Sneasler just going for Protect, doesn't want to enable a knockout, at least giving Michael both Pokemon still on the field, as Magmar, realizing it could be the target here, there is no Follow Me, is able to go for the Protect. Is Gholdengo going to fall victim, however? Not before it gets to Make It Rain out first.
Yeah, big Make It Rain, one might say, but yeah, this Kingambit should be able to take it relatively well. Well, it still takes almost half of its HP, and now the question is, where did Michael target? Oh, he went into the Magmar. Smart play once again by Eduardo.
I kind of like this as well, because you think, oh, the Follow Me's got to come out, we're going to support that Gholdengo, make sure that it's going to be able to not be taken down, as there's been so much setup and so much investment in it. But actually, Magmar playing quite defensively, and it's now a bit like, well, this turn I can go for the Follow Me, this turn I can do that. Yeah,
with a really nice play on Sucker Punch in the first game against the Sneasler. Michael got that read right, but this time around it is Eduardo who gets it correct. Double Protect coming out from the Sneasler, okay. Let's see, then, is this a counter cleave? Looks like it, so Follow Me, Make It Rain, but Kingambit should be able to take that, and then if the counter cleave gets rid of that Magmar, then we might have a game once again.
I mean, every single time these Make It Rains come on the field, that special attack is being dropped. A critical hit will be able to help, though, go the distance into this opposing Kingambit, as the Cowtown Cleave will be retaliated with, though Magmar has been felled. And now Eduardo will be forced to reveal that fourth and final Pokemon.
So yeah, no more redirection available for Eduardo. So if this is a Pokemon that Sneasler can deal with for Michael, then something like a Dire Claw or a Close Combat and a Sucker Punch to deal with a Gholdengo could be the road to victory here for Michael. And it is at Samurott. Wow. Now, it's not so easy to evaluate. I mean, how much damage do you think a Sucker Punch does into that Kingambit? I don't know if it would knock it out, and I also don't know if Sucker Punch would knock out the Sneasler over on Michael's side. So, yeah, if Close Combat gets the knockout on the Samurott, and yeah, Sucker Punch will definitely get the knockout on Gholdengo, maybe Michael has a way back into this game.
Yeah, the Terrestrialization has been used up on Eduardo's side with that Magmar as well, so you don't even have that utility in this endgame. We're going to see almost a triple protect, but no, Sneasler is going to be vulnerable in this endgame turn, as Gholdengo also plays defensively, protecting itself up from a potential Sucker Punch or a Cowtown Cleave coming out, and Samurott Sucker Punch will fail.
Yeah, big play on Michael's end, though. Another Sucker Punch that will also fail, so no damage dealt this turn, but a little bit of recovery. And on the Gholdengo, I don't think it matters too much, but on the Kingambit and on the Sneasler,
it matters.
Maybe the Sucker Punch will not get the Sneasler now. It is at -1 defense, I believe, after using Close Combat earlier. So,
I think so, yes.
Yeah, on the Sneasler. So let's see. Sneasler gets knocked out here by that Sucker Punch, but what did Kingambit go for? Is it another Sucker Punch into that Gholdengo? Yes, it is, but it
fails. Oh, Eduardo reading this turn perfectly. Gholdengo actually able to go for this nasty plot, not only boosting itself up, but I think critically to be able to stop that Sucker Punch from being able to connect. And Samurott looking at the opposing Sneasler and thinking, hey, your Protect just failed. You could just Protect again, but Eduardo not falling for that trick, and it was a treat of a match for him indeed, able to be victorious in Swiss round 3.
Yeah, great play coming